We're now going to turn to Julia, who hasn't spoken much today, have you, Julia? And she's going to tell us about her new initiative, Dialshifter. This is a new initiative working alongside the sister site Fund EcoMarket, and it focuses on climate change to make retail investment funds, intermediaries and advisors who are shifting the dial from brown to green, recognizable with a badge, which will be verified independently. Julia, over to you.
Thank you, Ebru. Yes, I haven't spoken much today. My throat's just about had it already. But suffice to say, this is something that I mentioned, and we had logos done for last year at our conference. And I said I'd get onto it this year, and it's proved to be a massive project. And not least, the PIMFA stuff came along as well. And I'm a big believer in the need for educating people in this market. I've done loads of training of people in this market before, so partnering with someone like PIMFA was hugely exciting, because obviously they've got so many contacts and they can get information out to people and present things far better than ever I could. So Dialshifter didn't get as much attention perhaps as it might have done otherwise, but it is definitely going forward. So from last year where we've got a website that's up and running. There's forms embedded in the website where people can fill in information. So if you are a financial advisor, an intermediary of other sorts, such as a platform provider or discretionary fund manager, portfolio planner, or a fund manager, there will be an area for you there where you fill in the form and say you want to become a Dialshifter and able to use the Dialshifter badge. Now, what I want, my vision of this, is that this brings together and helps make everything easier for IFAs, because financial advisors, I've put information out there with Fund EcoMarket, which explains what all the funds do. But people are often saying to me, come on, just tell me which fund I should use. And I can't do that, because unless I know a client, I can't. But what I can do is badge those funds that I think are serious in the area of, in particular, climate change, but also bringing other things into it. So I have brought in a set of standards or requirements, dependent on which of those three levels you are, fund manager, service provider, or financial advisor, to say what you've got to do in order to be a Dialshifter. So for a fund manager, it's things like saying that you avoid coal, oil and gas majors, saying that you vote all your shares, that you're open and transparent about what you do. And that will always build on the information we hold on them on Fund EcoMarket already. So if someone isn't being open enough to give us all that information, then forget it. They're nowhere near being able to be a Dialshifter. So I'm helping people to differentiate between those funds that are more serious, those funds that are less serious, without giving financial advice. I am not an IFA, I can't give advice, never have done and won't either. The next bit then for service providers, so for platforms, I want to badge those platforms which are investing mostly in those funds that we recognise as being Dialshifters. If you've got a portfolio that holds those funds, then let's let you shout about it. Get that information out there into the public domain. And we're going to be piloting this with King & Shacks and Portfolio Metrics and maybe a few others, just to make sure that we've got the criteria right for that. But it will be basically looking at least the majority of the holdings in a portfolio will be decent funds. So we've got a brochure which it now exists, but I'm not going to finalise it and publish it until we've tied down those criteria and done some more piloting. And we've got a process in place, which is basically that if you're a fund manager, you put your information on Fund EcoMarket, and also portfolio managers are welcome to put information on there as well. There's no charge if it's a sensible strategy that ought to be on there. I want people to know about it. My aim for all of this is to drive more investment. You know, we cannot move fast enough in this area. We've got to accelerate everything that we do. The important point here, though, is that someone is either a Dialshifter or they're not. What I don't want to be doing is choosing between, because as we've heard from a load of the fund managers today, lots of these fund managers are really, really serious, and they're really good, and they're really smart people, and they're 110% genuine, but their strategies vary. And that's because they've got different opinions, and that means they'll be suited to different clients. So I'm not going to try and tell you which one's better than another. I simply don't agree with that kind of thing. You know, this isn't really binary. This is about having a set of standards that we're all comfortable with, that make sense. So please, whoever you are, also the information's out there in the public domain now. Tell me if you've got comments. if you think I've gone too far. For financial advisors, I want to see that you've got an ethical fact find question, that you've got supplementary fact find that sits behind the scenes, that you have processes in place, that all this information is on your website, that you can invest sustainably. So come to me to get advice on sustainable investment. It's the kind of thing we want to see on your website. Likewise, portfolio planners. So I want to see the profile of this ramped up really fast. And in exchange for that, obviously, we're going to charge a fee. This has got to stand on its own 2 feet. I'm not going to have fund managers funding this one. I don't want to have fund managers funding everything I do. And bless them, over time, loads and loads of IFAs have said to me, this stuff's gold dust. You should be charging me for this. So yes, we will charge for this service. So people put information on the site, they fill in the form. We gather the information, we make sure it's all there as best we can. And once we're comfortable with it, we send it across for external verification. Now, those people who were with me in the Barbican last year at our conference, you will have met Sarah from Minerva Analytics. So she's looking after the fund side. So Minerva Analytics used to be called Manifest. So they're doing the verification work there. And on the fund, on the financial advisor side, the people that will be doing that will be Standards International. That's Michelle Hoskins and Dee and her team at Standards International. So they will be working with me. We'll be going through, knocking into place a process that really makes sense, that gets advisors moving that dial, that raises the profile of this area. Because honestly, I can't stress how important I think this is. And I think as we're seeing the values of assets shifting, I think what we're seeing is that more and more people are coming into line with recognizing the importance of that. Now, we've also got extra resource. We've got someone we've brought on board for, at the moment, a day a week, but hopefully more in future to help bring this all together. That's what I didn't have until very recently. So we will be getting help administering all of this. So if you're someone who's reached out to me on this and haven't heard back from me, that's why I've not had the bandwidth to do it. I've now got someone there who will do that. So fantastic to have someone who's happy to help us on that. We're looking for more, maybe not guinea pigs, but people to help get this started, help shape it, help move it forwards. So if that's you and you're happy to start that conversation with me and with the people that, those of us that are working behind, so Ed, Sue and I, and also Georgina, who will be helping, please, get onto the dialshifter.com website. This is trademarked, by the way. So you can't just use the logo because you think it's a pretty logo. It's trademarked, so both the logo and the name. And we will be putting the names of people who registered Dialshifters onto our website. So members of the public or anyone who's wondering will be able to go onto our site and see if somebody is actually agreed as being a Dialshifter. And it'll be an annual thing. So we will review this every year to make sure that people are still in place. We don't expect it to be a hugely onerous job every year, but we will up the standards. So we've been talking a lot on net zero today. We've got a filter on Fund EcoMarket, which asks if people are moving towards having net zero statement or if they have one. I would expect within the next year or so, we can, following what Tony was just saying, we can rightly expect that, frankly, everybody should. So we're going to want those net zero statements. We're going to build that stuff into it as we go along. But I want to start this off gently, hopefully working with people who are like-minded, like all the guys you've been hearing from today, who are saying, yep, we're giving this our best shot, and that we will build the criteria accordingly. And I want the badge to be recognizable through the process, through the advice process, whether you're an advisor or the service providers that they use or the fund managers that those service providers invest in. I have no idea how long I've been talking for, or whatever else I'm meant to be saying. I've mentioned, yes, this will be something we charge for.
You've got 20 minutes.
Sorry?
We can do more, we can do questions, we can do whatever, however you want to do this.
Thank you, Ebru. So I'm going to just, I'll finish my bit then on one little bit, because I really want to get to quizzing Tony as well. To mention that alongside this, it's sitting in the background at the moment. It hasn't gone live, but it's there. We have a diary process. We're setting up a calendar that will enable you to book into events. I mentioned it briefly earlier. Bring a cup of coffee, 11 o'clock on a Friday morning, something like that. Join us for probably 3/4 of an hour to an hour to listen to someone talking. So someone like Amma talking earlier, who knows loads about property. Let's get someone in to upskill people in that area. And you can just book into those sessions that you're interested in. And I'm prepared to do that as long as we've got a good half a dozen people per session get a good dialogue going, bit of chat like we've got today, but have it as an open session in a meeting, not just me transmitting to you, people discussing as well. So that's the bit that's going to go alongside it. So as well as badging people, I want it to be about, okay, so how do we get people to that next level? And that's my ambition for all of this. Obviously I've got a lot on. You will have noticed this area has completely exploded over the last year or so. And COVID has made it even more so. But that is my vision. That's where I'm going. So please go on to dialshifter.com, go for under the Dialshifter tab, find your type of dial shifter, drop us a note through that, or you can email dialshifter@sriservices.co.uk. So easy web address as well, email address. And with that, I think I'll close. I'm trying to look at my notes to see what I've forgotten. I'm not very good at using notes. Thank you. I'll hand back to you, Ebru, and let's go for some questions. Thank you.